You know, I don't know. People don't play board games much anymore. They play video games or something on their cell phone. But whatever. Monopoly has been a popular game for many years. And here we have an image of this Christ figure sitting down, and he's playing Monopoly. Notice he's playing by himself, and he's got this kind of knife in his hand, and he's stuck it into one of the cards, and he's looking at the card. It's kind of interesting. Kind of portrays life as somewhat of a game at times. And Monopoly, you know, if you're not acquainted with it, they have some things in there that do pertain to life. They have chance cards, and oftentimes in life you're going to take a chance card. You're going to take a chance. You're going to risk something of your heart, your mind, or even your money. Community cards. We live in community. We live in the context of being with other people and friendships and even interacting with enemies. We mortgage our futures, just like they do in Monopoly. We get into debt. We suffer foreclosure. We risk foreclosure at times. We think we own things, the bank actually owns them, and then we realize, no, God actually owns the bank and he owns everything else. We're trying to fulfill some sort of American dream or some national dream of some kind, and sometimes there's free parking, and free parking you kind of just rest and be idle and try to figure it out. Railroad crossing, there's 4 of them on Monopoly. We often find ourselves at crossroads or crosswalks of decision. So Monopoly is a pretty good kind of metaphor for life. But it's this one card that Christ is looking at that kind of gets me. It's this one thing that caused him pause to stop and reflect upon. I got a strange question for you, and not all of you would be able to answer this in the affirmative, but have you ever spent the night in jail? It's a strange feeling. I've done it. More than once I've done it. I've spent the night in jail, not voluntarily either. I've voluntarily gone to a lot of jails, but on a couple of occasions I didn't have a choice. I was staying, all right? You know any idea what that's like? It is a strange feeling. It's a strange feeling to all of a sudden say, okay, I'm done with this, I'm going to get up and go, and then realize you can't go. It is a strange feeling to have your choices taken away from you. It's a strange feeling to be told where you're going to be and when you're going to be there. And it's very strange when you're not accustomed to it. I can't imagine for extended periods of time. But he has this one card that he's looking at. It's a get out of jail free card. Interesting. What jail? Well, sometimes you land on the jail. Well, not all of us have been to jail, but yeah, we have. All of us have been to jail. There are certain things in life that we experience that limit us emotionally, relationally, socially, intellectually, spiritually, physically, that are forms of jail. And there's not always freedom readily available. Sometimes circumstances hem us in, and sometimes we find ourselves in bondage. Sometimes we find ourselves locked up. You can actually sit in a prison, and I've met many prisoners in prison ministry that are freer than people that are outside the walls of the prison. They actually are freer than those who are not in solitary confinement. So this begs the question, if you have some area of your life where you're restricted or in bondage, or your choices have been removed from you, maybe it's an addiction or a relationship or something, compulsion of some kind, a fear of some kind. If something's dictating to you your level of freedom, remember this, it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. There is a freedom that comes through this relationship with him. And he's particularly enamored with this board with the get out of jail free card. Now, friend, freedom is not cheap. Never has been and never will be. Look at the nation of America. Freedom that the United States enjoys is not free. It came at quite a cost. A lot of blood was shed for the freedom that we enjoy in this country. But we're thinking about the blood of Christ now. The shed blood of Christ is the expense for which we can experience freedom, and he has a get out of jail free card in his personhood. In relationship with him and trust in him, he will impart to you that freedom, and therein lies the divine monopoly.